I first was so moved by Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, when I was a teenager. And Handel's Messiah, come unto him, is just so beautiful, so beautiful. But as I thought about it, I thought, I wish that there was a different arrangement of it, and I don't know what that would be. And I just sort of cataloged it back in the back of my mind. And as I prepared to go on a mission to England, then I started getting these kind of visionary things going on for this huge oratorio called Alpha and Omega, which is about the second coming of Christ. And I started working on the libretto on my prep days while I was on my mission. And in there was Matthew 11, verses 28 through 30. And so I put that in there. And then I got home from my mission and I drug out the libretto and I started kind of working on the music here and there. But one of the very first pieces that came together was Come Unto Him. And it was very interesting how that came together. I was a very struggling student trying to make ends meet, working menial labor, trying to figure out how to stay in school, and I could barely afford to pay bills and find a place to live. And my dear friends, the Bjarnson family, Eric and Diane Bjarnson, they said, "Come and live with us. We got a room. You can stay with us." And they're incredibly musical people, gifted in the arts in every way. And so on this particular evening, it was July. It was a Friday night, very hot day. I think it was over 100 degrees that day. And they had just recently bought a new Kawai upright piano, and it was beautiful ebony finish. And Diane insisted that they put the piano in my room instead of in the living room where the family could get to it, because she said, "You need to compose. You're here to compose. This is an important part of your life." And I kind of resisted that, but they put the piano in my room, and here it was very, very late into the evening, and I was very softly trying to play this new piece, Come Unto Him, and they had already gone to bed, and I felt terrible because I know I was keeping some of them up at least, and I also knew that Eric had to be at work very early in the morning, or between 7:30 and 8, and they had been staying up late. We had all been staying up late because there were just so many things to do. And so as I went to sleep finally about 3 in the morning after I penciled this quick sketch out, and he knocked on my bedroom door that morning as he was getting ready for work, and he said, "Did you finish it?" And I just blurted out apologies because I felt bad for keeping them awake. And he said, No. Did you finish it? And I said, "I did." And he goes, "Will you play it for me?" And so I did. And here I penciled in this melody and these words that could hardly be legible just because I was trying to do everything in a hurry. And he managed to decipher that. And he sang for the very first time, Come Unto Him. And I only heard it as I composed it with him singing it and as a tenor solo. And Eric sang Come Unto Him as a vocal solo for years and years after that. And then it was about 1982, I believe, that I took the tenor solo to Jerry Jackman and said, "Would you be interested in publishing this?" And he said, "Well, I don't think I can sell this as a solo." And so I came back a few months later, and I had a choral version. He said, "Well, the choral version is nice, but it's too complicated." And so he said, if you can hone it down into something that, an intermediate level choir could do, then I think that we could consider publishing it." And so it was published, and it had been out for perhaps a couple of years, and it wasn't gaining any traction yet. But then Ron Staley from BYU discovered it, and he decided that he would use it as an encore piece for his choirs when they went on tour. and just about everywhere. And so all of a sudden, Coming to Him became almost an international phenomenon with BYU singers and oratorio choir. I think that transition happened about then. But and so all of a sudden I was getting word that this was being sung everywhere as an encore piece, and stories were coming back that people were being very moved by this piece, and I just had no idea. You can only imagine these things, and hoping for them seemed like it would almost be too much. But and so it took on a life of its own, and then it continued to gain in popularity, mostly in the English-speaking world, among church members. And then in 1992, Donald Ripplinger, who is one of my personal mentors, he decided that the Tabernacle Choir needed to do it. So he presented it to Jerry Otley, and they sang it. And then it was recommended to the Relief Society, and they used it for their sesquicentennial celebration, I believe, which was in '92 as well, and it was performed for that. And from there, it started gaining more and more in popularity. And it's pretty much since that point until now has become what it has. I composed Coming to Him in 1978, and it was published in the early 80s, and now it's been literally 41 years in 2019 later that was composed. And it's odd to me, the irony to me is that the choral version was published, which really wasn't meant to happen. I thought it was going to be a solo. What's wonderful is that now, in 2019, we're going to release the vocal solo versions in high, medium, and low keys for singers, for solo voice. And my hope is, because it feels to me like it's coming back full circle, my hope is that because this kind of circle is being completed now, that it can also connect with individuals more who want to sing as a solo, and it will resonate with choirs still. So I think it's an exciting thing myself, and I'm hopeful that people will be able to connect with these arrangements, and to keep that message of coming unto Christ, keep that going. One of the most powerful things about this piece, Coming to Him, to me, is that there is no exception for any of us in this life, that we feel connected at points and we feel disconnected at other points. We feel a sense of loss or a sense of wandering or whatever that might be. And that this song, this piece, has always been a grounding for me, that no matter how negative or how bad some of the circumstances in life can be, if I recall the event of the night when I composed the piece, and when I recall the times that Eric sang the piece, I'm transported back to that place of, I am okay. It's going to be all right. There's a sense of knowing in these types of experiences, and it could be any song for any of us. But in this case, coming to Him for me, I have called back to my mind and my heart in some of my deepest moments, darkest moments, and it has given me hope. It has given me comfort. And I think that there are probably more than one piece for most of us that can do certain things for us in that way. For example, I wrote a little waltz for my daughter when she was 5 years old, and I played it for her on her 5th birthday. And she danced around the room, and she grabbed her little brother, Michael, and they tumbled and danced around the room. And the whole scene lasted perhaps 10 minutes. But I have recalled that scene in my mind through the decades in some of the most deepest, dark places, and it was simply hope again. And so it is with Coming to Him. And perhaps so it can be with Shine for Me Again, Star of Bethlehem. Do not despair. Your star is still there. That line gives me such hope in any time of my life, good or bad. And I think that the same thing can happen even like a piece like Come Unto Him. Come unto Him. What an amazing invitation. You know, I have learned scientifically that music has the power to light up all the areas of the brain at once. It's the only activity that I know of, at least that we know of now, that does that for us. And so when you think about the power of music, when you're participating in music, when you're listening in it, when you're performing music, the whole brain is lit up. And so when all these senses are happening at one time because of music, you're going to get more powerful memories from them, more important memories. You're going to have key points. You'll lock in key points along your path that will anchor you to help you to prepare against those times that may seem more difficult. And so from my standpoint, the idea of music being as a kind of a whole mind, whole spirit activity becomes very real. My hope for people, for having written Come Unto Him, is that they will find the invitation that Christ has offered to come unto Him, find it to be valuable, real, and healing. We cannot get through this life without some scars. It's the way it was designed. But the scars actually become blessings to us because they give us valuable information on how to avoid such problems in the future or to how to cope with problems, And so the message of this invitation is come unto Him or come unto me, Christ, and in so doing, your burden will be made easy. Well, why will your burden be made easy? It's really so simple. It's because you're in a place where you're fully connected. You're in a source of inspiration. And that source of inspiration is going to give you the information, the knowledge, and coping skills to handle all the events that may cross your life, for good or for less good. But that's my thought behind it. That's what I hope people can get out of it, is this sure place where they have a source for inspiration to guide them through any situation. Some of my favorite pieces that Jackman has published obviously Come Unto Him, and there's the choral version, and there's the women's choral version, and now there will be the vocal solo version, and then Shine for Me Again, Star of Bethlehem, and there's also a full cantata version of that, and that has been published since 1992, I believe. Another piece that I really like is I Believe in Jesus Christ, which is the Bach Gounod Ave Maria, but I decided that I would pen words differently, so it became I Believe in Jesus Christ. And there are some other ones. There's My Contrite Heart, which is about repentance. I Keep My Covenants, which is about keeping covenants in temple work. And if you look my name up at Jackman, you can see I would think that there are probably close to 24 pieces that have been published through the years. If you'd like to find out more about some of the stories of the pieces and how the pieces came to be, go to hubpages.com and type in my name, Daniel Carter. Or else you can just do a Google search, Daniel Carter at Hub Pages. And then my profile will come out, and you can find the articles that I've written about the stories of some of these pieces, Shine for Me Again, Come Unto Him, and several others.